Hello, and thank you for listening to Texas History for Kids. I'm your host, Michelle Gallegos, an educator, writer, history nerd, and novice investigator. Each week on the show, we will learn about interesting parts of Texas history, from battles and historical figures to the odd and enchanted. Welcome back to Texas History for Kids. This is episode number 83, and I'm your host, Michelle Gallegos. Today's episode kicks off with something a little, let's just say, sticky. Before listening to today's podcast, be sure you click on the link in the show notes to grab the activity that pairs with this episode. Very quick show disclaimer. This episode discusses areas of the Texas Gulf Coast. Currently, it has been renamed the Gulf of America and was previously called the Gulf of Mexico. This is a current hot topic at the time of this recording in July of 2025. And for the sake of this show, we will call it the Gulf or the Coast because, let's be real, Texans say I'm headed to the beach or I'm headed to the coast. You never really hear someone say, hey, let's go to the Gulf of blah, blah, blah. Or let's go to the Atlantic Ocean. Anyway, I digress. Back to the show.
Hey, Mom, remember when we went to Corpus Christi and there was this gooey stuff that got on in my bathing suit? It looked like a chunk of melted tire and it smelled like a car repair shop.
That, Zoe, was a gunk of oil, and it's commonly found along the Texas coast.
Wait, like the kind of oil people use in their car? Why is it just lying around on the beach? That can't be normal, right? Did someone put it in there, or does it grow like seaweed?
Well, Zoe, I think it's time for Zoe's Big question.
Why is there oil along the Texas coast? Is it because of an oil spill or because it occurs naturally?
Great question, Zoe. To find out the answer, we'll have to head back millions of years. And then we're going to have to fast forward to some pretty epic Texas-sized drilling drama. Let's start with this. The Gulf wasn't always full of shrimp boats and jet skis and sunscreen and beach bums. Long, long ago, it was a super swamp filled with sea creatures, plants, and microscopic critters. When they died, they sank to the bottom of the floor and got buried under mud and sand along the ocean's seafloor. Over millions of years, with tons of heat and pressure, they turned into oil. And guess what? That oil didn't always stay buried. In some places, especially along the Texas coastline, it bubbled up on its own. But here's the wild part. In certain places, like the Texas coast, that oil doesn't stay deep underground. It pushes it way up through the cracks in the Earth's crust and seeps out naturally into the water.
So, oil seeps out of the ground on its own? Like a leaky faucet, but way smellier?
Exactly. Natural oil seeps happen all over the world, and the Gulf is a hotspot. In fact, some scientists think hundreds of thousands of barrels of oil naturally leak into the Gulf every year. It doesn't all bubble up in pools. Sometimes it oozes slowly out of the seabed. Then it floats to the surface and ends up as tar balls on the beach. Gross! Kinda, but it's totally natural. Hey teachers, kids, parents, and whoever is out there in the listening world, do you want to keep learning after this episode ends? Well, head on over to txhistoryforkids.com where you'll find reading passages, printable activities, vocabulary lists, coloring pages, and more, all tied to the episode you just heard. Perfect for classrooms, homework, or just curious minds like yours. Here's how it works. It supports auditory, visual, and reading learners, and we all know how important it is to capture all learners. It also encourages independent exploration and critical thinking skills for all of you homeschool parents or those who just don't want their kids to suffer through the summer slide. And best of all, it provides ready-made, age-appropriate materials you can trust. You can assign the episode as a listening activity and then follow it up with a reading and reflection. Or just let kids read first and then hear it come to life through audio. If you're not sure if this is what you need, just click the Send My Freebie link in the show notes and I'll send you a full packet of the Texas Flag episode. Absolutely free. No strings attached. Now back to the show. Before modern scientists knew what it actually was, Native people like the Karankawa noticed oil along the shoreline. They used it to waterproof their baskets and canoes and even rubbed it on their skin to treat cuts and rashes. Why? Well, because it was so sticky that it doesn't let water in. It's sort of, waterproof. Ever heard someone say, oil and water doesn't mix well? Well, that's a true statement. Later, early Spanish explorers saw the same thing, black goo glistening in the sand. They didn't know what they were looking at was a massive clue to Texas's future economy.
So, wait. We've been walking past natural oil for centuries and nobody built a gas station yet?
Well, it wasn't until people figured out how to drill for that oil, which later became the Texas gold mine we know today. Let's fast forward to Spindletop, Texas, 1901. Quick check. If you'd like to hear more about the Spindletop oil field discovery, tune into episode number 14. On a hot day on January 10th, 1901, an oil well exploded with so much pressure that it shot oil 150 feet into the air. That day would go down in history, famously, and it was a total game changer. Spindletop wasn't the first oil well, but it was the biggest, and it proved that Texas had a lot of oil underground. Therefore, boom towns popped up almost overnight. Families made millions, and Texas became one of the world's top oil producers. But with great oil comes great responsibility. Oil drilling also comes with risks like spills. Over the years, there have been some really big oil spills. The biggest was the Deepwater Horizon disaster in the Gulf on April 20th, 2010. A floating oil rig that was connected to a pipeline on the bottom of the seafloor snapped, causing the oil rig to explode, spilling millions of barrels of oil into the ocean for months. 11 people died. Animals like sea turtles, fish, and dolphins were covered in oil. The company that owned the oil rig tried frantically to plug the hole, but it was overwhelming. Fishing towns suffered. By May, the oil began reaching beaches along Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, as well as Florida. Finally, on July 15, 2010, the oil well was capped and cemented. But the effects of the oil spill took years to clean up. Some say they're still cleaning up today in 2025. Today, when you walk along the beach and spot a dark, rubbery blob in the sand, it might be from a leak way offshore, or it might be a natural oil seep. Scientists test the oil's chemical fingerprint to figure out where the oil comes from. So, here's how chemical fingerprinting works. When oil shows up on the ocean or the beach, and no one knows where it came from, the United States Coast Guard teams up with scientists from places like the NOAA. That's just a big group of people that studies the ocean and the weather. They use these special science tools like detectives to test the oil and figure out who or what or where it belongs to or from. Just like people have fingerprints that are one of a kind, oil from each place has its own chemical fingerprint. That helps scientists figure out if the oil came from a ship, a spill, or if it naturally leaked from under the ocean floor. They do this especially when there's a big spill to make sure the oil is from the suspected source and not just from another ship or a natural seep nearby. But whether it's natural or man-made, that oil is a powerful reminder of just how much it affects our lives.
Okay, serious question. How many things in our lives actually use oil? I mean, why do we even need it?
Brace yourself, Zoe. Oil isn't just that stuff that keeps your car from sounding like a blender full of rocks. Get this. Oil helps make plastic, yep, even the water bottle you forgot in your backpack and my beautiful phone case with Snoopy is made from oil. Paints and crayons are also made from oil. So basically, oil is a part of your art project and those doodles you make in the corner of your page while your teacher is talking. It's also in shampoos and toothpaste. Yeah, surprise! You might be washing your hair and brushing your teeth with the ingredients that came from deep underground. Your clothes are also made with oil. Did you know that? If you're wearing anything made from polyester, you're basically wearing liquid dinosaurs. Stylish, but ancient. Medicine and Band-Aids are also made from oil. Oil helps make the stuff that helps you heal when you fall off your bike while you're trying to show off. And even food. Not the food itself, of course, I hope not, but the growing of it. Oil powers those tractors, the trucks, and even helps make fertilizer. So your fries and apples got a little help from fossil fuel friends. Oil is not just in the ground, it's all around us, which makes it extra important to know where it's coming from and where it should not be leaking. Now, Zoe, I think it's time for a pop quiz.
Let's see how much our listeners were paying attention. You ready?
I am.
What causes natural oil seeps? A. Leaky beach pipes. B. Heat and pressure from buried sea creatures. C. Sharks wearing sunglasses.
If you picked B, you're an oil history expert because heat and pressure from buried sea creatures is what causes the natural oil seeps.
What native tribe used oil for waterproof and healing? A. Apache. B. Karankawa. C. Cave Pop.
That's B, the Karankawa, not to be confused with the K-pop tribe of TikTok. All right, question number 3, Zoe.
True or false? Every oil blob on the beach is pollution.
False. Some blobs are from nature itself. Sticky little time travelers from, let's just say, millions of years ago. So, Zoe, to answer your big question, there's oil along the Texas coast because some of it comes naturally from deep underground, and some of it comes from human error like spills and deep water oil rigs we've built to collect it. Now, it's super old, it's super powerful, and it's super important, but also super complicated. Whether it's floating in the Gulf or used to power your car, oil is one of Texas's most mysterious but important treasures. Thank you for listening to Texas History for Kids. Hit that subscribe button and follow the show, and more importantly, share it with others who might find it interesting too. And don't forget, the best Texas stories live just beyond the lessons in your classrooms, waiting for you to explore.
Stay curious.